You know that feeling when you have a great idea for an app, but then you realize turning that spark into an actual working product is the really hard part? Well, today we're diving into a system that wants to automate that entire process. This is MAKO AI. Think of it as an autonomous software factory that uses a team of AI agents to take a simple idea and build it into a fully functional and, get this, self-maintaining digital asset.
So, to really get where this is all going, we first have to understand where we've been. The source material for this explainer calls the recent past of AI development the notebook era. It was a time of chaotic, messy experimentation with code kind of cobbled together in things like Jupyter notebooks. It was exciting for sure, but it was also super fragile and just not built to last. Well, according to this vision, that era is officially over.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. Over on the left, you've got the notebook era, a real mess of spaghetti code and prototypes that would break if you looked at them wrong. But on the right, that's the new way, the steel frame. It's all about building AI systems with the same kind of discipline you'd use to build a skyscraper. We're talking reliable, modular, and ready for the real world from day one. It's a huge shift from a messy lab to a clean, efficient factory floor.
So, how does a process like this even start? Well, it doesn't begin with a line of code. It starts with a conversation. The first, and maybe the most important step, is taking that fuzzy idea in a person's head and turning it into a concrete, actionable plan that an AI can actually understand and execute.
The whole system follows this really structured path. It all kicks off with that vague idea, right? Something like, I want a better way to manage my tasks. From there, it moves into what's called requirements engineering, which is just a fancy way of drilling down and asking why and who is this for to really define the problem. That leads to prototyping, making the idea visual, and then finally planning out a very strategic minimum viable product, or MVP.
And I think this is a super important point about what an MVP really is. It's not just a product with fewer features. No, it's a scientific tool. Its whole purpose is to learn. It's about testing your biggest, riskiest assumptions with the smallest amount of work, so you don't waste time and money building something that nobody actually wants.
Okay, so once the what and the why are totally clear, this is where things get, well, pretty futuristic. The system takes that plan and hands it over to a team of specialized AI agents. This is the AI workforce, an autonomous crew that works like a high-tech assembly line for building software. So that carefully defined plan we just talked about, it now becomes a formal work ticket. It officially enters the MAKO AI factory, ready to be built. All the ambiguity is gone, the instructions are crystal clear, and the automated assembly line kicks into gear. First up on the line is the builder agent. The source material calls it a stateless, deterministic code worker. Now, what on earth does that mean? Well, stateless means it has no memory of past jobs. It starts totally fresh every time, which ensures consistency. And deterministic, that means if you give it the exact same instructions, it will produce the exact same code every single time. It's a pure, focused, and incredibly reliable little coder.
Now, this is the builder's golden rule, and honestly, it's a cornerstone of high-quality software development. It's a practice called test-driven development, or TDD. So before the builder writes any code for a feature, it first writes a test for that feature that fails. Then it writes only the code it needs to make that test pass. This is amazing because it guarantees every piece of the software is verified from the instant it's created. So, following its rules, the builder finishes its task, and it doesn't just spit out a whole application. Instead, it creates what's called a patch, just a small, precise chunk of changes to the code. This patch does one job and does it perfectly, and now it's ready for inspection.
But the system doesn't just take the builder's word for it. No way. That code patch gets immediately passed down the line to the next specialist, the tester agent. And this agent has one job and one job only: to put that new code through an absolutely punishing inspection.
And we're not talking about a quick once-over. The tester agent is like a forensic investigator. It runs the code through all these quality gates. It's scanning for things like accidentally leaked passwords or API keys. It checks for any company policy violations. It makes sure the code talks to other services the way it's supposed to. It even makes sure the documentation is accurate. It's a completely automated, top-to-bottom quality assurance department. So building clean code from the start is one thing, but what about keeping it clean, months or years down the road? That's where another crucial agent comes in, the janitor. Its entire purpose is to fight against that slow rot that happens to almost every software project over time.
And the janitor's #1 enemy is something called technical debt. The best way to think about it is like taking shortcuts when you're building a house. Sure, it might get you a roof over your head faster, but later on, when you want to add a new room, it's a total nightmare because the foundation is a mess. Technical debt is just all the messy stuff in code that makes everything in the future slower and more painful to do.
So how does the janitor fight this? Well, it's trained to spot common problems that programmers call code smells. Things like a God object, which is one piece of code that's trying to do way too many things at once. When the janitor finds a problem like that, it automatically applies standard cleanup techniques, called refactoring, to break that big messy thing into smaller, cleaner, more manageable parts. And it does all this without changing what the software actually does. It just cleans up.
All right, so we've got a system that can understand an idea, build tested code, and even clean up after itself. That's incredible. But the vision behind MAKO AI is actually way bigger than just a better way to write code. It's about changing the fundamental way we own and interact with software itself.
This slide really gets to the heart of it. On the left, that's the world we're all used to, the software as a service, or SaaS model. We pay a subscription fee every month, but we never own the software, and the vendor holds all the cards, including our data. But on the right, that's the MAKO AI model, the sovereign digital asset. Here, you get a perpetual license. You own the code. It becomes a true asset that you and your organization have complete and total control over.
At the end of the day, what comes out of the MAKO AI factory isn't just a pile of code. It's a living, breathing, self-maintaining asset. Because the whole process is so rigorous and automated, the output is verifiable and trustworthy. And this could create a whole new kind of digital property and a new kind of marketplace built on trust.
And that really brings us to the final big question at the heart of all this. Just think about it for a second. What if the software we use every single day was no longer a liability? Something that needs constant, expensive updates and maintenance, but instead was an asset that could build, test, and even maintain itself. The implications of a shift like that are, well, they're pretty profound.